Corbyn first became the leader, I think Michael Gove said something, and he said he's going to make this country ungovernable, meaning people are going to realise their rights and they're not going to stand for it anymore. Are you trying to make Tower Hamlets ungovernable?
What? Yes, and I'll explain why I mean that. Business as usual don't cut it anymore.
Okay.
Business as usual has given us the sort of like a third world banana republic situation where Tower Hamlets is one of the richest in the entire country, but has the poorest residents. And it's it's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting different result. You know, the old politics has not affected any change. The old politics has made the rich richer and the poor poorer.
What's poverty like in Tower Hamlets?
It is very grindy. It is literally, you see it, you hear it in the conversations, you see it. As a councillor, I go to people's houses, and you see it. You know, poverty is making that choice. And I remember a woman breaking down in tears when she talked about her council tax, and she said that she'll rather not buy the trainers for her children to put the food on the table than go through the indignity of applying for relief from the council because the process was so humiliating.
Wow. Now, right at the beginning of this video, you talked about opportunities to become councillors, or you're trying to encourage people to become councillors.
I think the office of the councillor, you could change your community, you could change your neighbours, you could affect real change. You could get people thinking about things in a different way, and it becomes a domino effect. And if you are interested in changing your neighbourhood, changing the landscape, the mental and the physical, and that you've had enough, then I think you should be interested in being a counsellor. And I'm happy to open my office up, and you can see what I do. And if anybody wants advice as to how to be a counsellor, I'll talk you through the process. But what it is people, we don't need people to do selfies. We need people. I'm interested in helping people who want to affect real change in the communities, who want to inspire their neighbours, who want to inspire family members, who want to inspire the entire neighbourhood into basically thinking about affecting change. You know, changing this obscene situation in Tower Hamlets, where a small group of people make decisions for everybody else who have no connection with the local area, who do not have any connection with the reality of living in an overcrowded house where parents are sleeping in the same bedroom with adult children. They do not understand that, or the reality of making choice between food items, you know, whether or have dal for dinner, and people are making those choices. I have seen it with my own eyes, where people have come off the streets and basically come into wedding halls and having food because they're starving, but no one says nothing. They know that these people but that is a situation where people are going in Tower Hamlets looking for weddings to have that food because they're starving. And I've seen it with my own eyes. And if you want to bring about that change, if you want to have a Tower Hamlets that the wealth is distributed, the power is distributed, then become a councillor. Get involved in politics. You know, if you don't want to be a councillor, help your friend become a councillor, help your neighbour become a councillor, find good people. Because that's what we need. We need people with imagination, not people with business as usual of taking selfies and putting them up on Facebook. No respect. No disrespect.
No disrespect to the selfie. Thank you so much, Purumia.
Yeah.
Councillor Purumia, I should say. It's a pleasure interviewing you.
And, and if anybody wants more information, it's out there after it's at the end of the video.
Apply to be a councillor and learn from one of the best.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Chair. I want to focus on the process, whether the process was fair or seemed to be fair. in the calling document, if you look at a members' inquiry I raised with regards to the council awarding the contract for an independent assessor, we only had one bid for that. So that's the procurement area, procurement of the Eastern Community Foundation. Then looking at the Eastern Community Foundation, is it an organisation capable of understanding the diverse needs of the third sector in Tower Hamlets? And if you look at the senior management structures of it, there isn't that diversity there. And then you've got to look at question some of the decisions as well made by the Eastern Community Foundation. I want to bring the example of something that's happened with regards to Machu and a platform they're giving to a speaker who's quite controversial, who's made divisive comments, and it has been given a platform by them in a borough that has a very diverse community. So I don't think the issue is that the process is not seen to be fair. The evidence that we've gathered, it shows that the process is not fair. It shows that the Eastern Community Foundation is not a suitable assessor, and questions need to be raised for that. And that's why we're asking for more time to look into these decisions and not rush it, because at the end of the day, the process has to be fair and seen to be fair. Let's have a little bit more of municipal socialism and a little less municipal neoliberalism. Thank you.
Thank all the calling councillors and the audience for being present here today. My question goes back to process that Councillor Peru mentioned. You said that the evidence used shows that the process isn't fair, and you've consulted organisations who have also confirmed that. In your mind, what do you think can be done to make the process even fairer in terms of evidence, and what should be taken into consideration? Thank you.
I think the question is whether the decision has been equitable. It's not just treating all organisations the same. We have to understand that there's differences and accommodate those differences. You've got multi-million-pound turnover organisation versus a small organisation with less than, say, £50,000 or £100,000 turnover. It hasn't been. I don't think the process has been fair. There hasn't been transparency around on what basis Eastern Community Foundation was chosen as the independent assessor, especially when there was only one. I raised the members' inquiry, and the answer I got back was there's only one bidder for that contract, and that needs to be questioned as to, was that an appropriate decision to give it to a single bidder? Second thing is looking at the organisation. Most of the senior management are non-VAME. It's headed by the director of the Canary Wharf Group. So the optics of it is that you have a millionaire, an organisation headed by a millionaire, backed by billionaires, making decisions for poor people in Tower Hamlets. And it has all the optics. I just using a crude example of a banana republic rather than that of a progressive council, and that optics is what's causing a lot of concerns among a lot of community organisations, amongst a lot of residents, and as me as an elected member, because of the answers I've received.